It's a time that we say goodbye to 2011 and go to 2012. The New Year's resolutions that we keep for maybe a day, but I put my New Year's resolutions on bucket list. That way I don't have a time limit of when to get them. One of the things that on the bucket list I'll be telling you about, but I might encourage you to go ahead and write out your goals for the year, for the next day, for the next week, month, whatever it takes, so that you can be blessed also. I just love Philippians 3:13, where it says, Paul is talking to us and says, I could not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and pressing forth to those in the future. And knowing that he had pressed forward to the future, that's what he did. That's what we need to do. With 2011, just, hey, it may not have gone as well as we'd like. I know that during the tornado we had losses, and many of you did too. However, I just wasn't able to get somebody over here to put in a new double oven. So we had an unusual Thanksgiving and Christmas in that Tony grilled turkey breast out on the grill instead of the oven. And if you ever tried to bake a pie in the microwave, not a good plan. So most of the things we had to buy already cooked. That was okay. We had the microwave and the top of the oven. So we have to deal with whatever it is. We lost all of our meat, as many of you did, from your freezers. And we just go on and be happy. When I got up this morning, my name was not in the obituary, so it's a good day. Anytime we can worship the Lord and have fun with our family. We had probably one of the best Christmases we'd ever had. And it was my sister-in-law. My brother had passed and my sister-in-law moved to Massachusetts. So she came home to be with us, go to see her children in Chattanooga and Knoxville. And we went to church together in East Brainerd, Church of Christ, and saw some of her old friends. It was so cute. She's in the 78 age range, I'm not sure. I know that it's older than I know. We won't go there too closely. But one of the guys after church came up to her and said, Alice, you look 10 years younger. If I wasn't married, I'd be knocking on your door. So we kidded her the whole weekend that she almost got a proposal for somebody that really wanted to be with her. I know that we have to take all the things that we've learned. Trust in the Lord with all our heart. Lean not upon our own understanding. In all our ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct our path. He'll direct our path for 2012. And one of the things that Tony and I did last year, we had on our bucket list, something we wanted to do for a half century or so, is we had written out, when he was in the Marine Corps, we wrote out pages and pages of what we were going to do, move to Alaska, and open our radio station. I'd worked in radio, and he was electrical engineer, worked mostly in mechanical engineering, but he went to Penn State, and I went to several places, Arkansas State University, and Baylor, and Oxford Graduate School in Oxford, and Conway State Teachers College. So we had all of this background, and I taught in McLennan Community College and in Tennessee at Oxford Graduate School, and Alabama at a couple of different colleges and high schools. Anyway, we had wanted to go. Then children came along, Deanna, Emily, Anthony. So it just wasn't practical. Tony took one of his old jobs back that he had after the Marine Corps, because back in, well, I don't know how far back it goes, but I know it was after the Second World War. The law was, or the policy was, that after you got out of the service, you got to go back to your old job again. So he went back as the engineering manager for a company in, let's see, Lancaster, Pennsylvania at the time, which working with American Machine and Foundry and some other companies. But we still had this in the back of our mind, someday we're going to go to Alaska. One of my best friends, Patty Allen, that many of you know, she passed, but one of the things, she lived in Alaska and just got me all excited again about it. Well, even though she passed this last year. I remember when I was 8-year-old girl that my mother gave me a book about a native Alaskan from Ketchikan in Alaska, and she traveled in a baldock or kayak, a boat made from skin. She sewed her clothes as I did in rural Arkansas, and my mother did for me. I had 4 brothers but wanted a sister, and I longed to visit her. She wore waterproof boots and luxurious garments of fur. She saw the vivid rainbow colors of the northern lights, the aurora borealis, that Tony and I had always wanted to see. And she had those wonderful fur clothes where I wore dresses of scratchy flour and feed sack cotton. And my mother was so good at sewing in the 7th grade, I still won the Best Dress Award. I hate to think about what the others wore. But anyway, it was still thanks to my mother. If I would get out in the sun, the scorching sun of Arkansas or Alabama, LA, lower Alabama, bubbles burn on my skin from this scorching sun. So then I wanted more and more to go to Alaska. And so we had a person that I went to college with, and he was from Alaska originally. Now, he had been adopted by a family near Paragould, Arkansas, but he and I did, and others, a radio program together for the college, and I had always wanted to go back to Alaska, and I thought, this is my chance. However, Tony and I were, even before we were married, and I had a chance to have a date with Elvis Presley, and decided instead to stay with Tony that I was dating, because I had a date with him that night. And actually Tony asked me to marry him that night, so I did better by going with Tony, and that was the best date I never did have with Elvis Presley. And I wanted to go to Alaska anyway, so Tony did too. And what happened was our church wrote out a recommendation letter for us, the preacher did, Ray Cox, and we sent it to Anchorage, to the church there, and Terry Lee answered and said, yes, 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 please come to Alaska. And she got several churches and people together from that area. So this past year, well, this year, still this year, 2011, January, we took our bucket list, top priority, and went to Alaska. And she and I just became close friends, and now I have my sister in the Lord, Terry Lee, and we had a lot of Christians that came in addition to the breathtaking sights to see the aurora borealis. So I have my Alaska sister, after all, Terry Lee. God has us together for now and eternity. At church, it was interesting in Wasilla, Alaska, which was where Sarah Palin's from. We had an opportunity to go to a resort lodge there and stay there where the aurora borealis came. And we walked, we were only a couple houses from Sarah, and we walked down there. Didn't get to see her, got to take pictures of the area though. And but anyway, at church, a different church that morning, we were there, and they said, hey, we have somebody here at church that's also visiting from LA, that's the lower 48, and so said her name is Duncan. Oh, anyway, she and I met each other, and so I said, Duncans, I worked for Joyce Duncan. She's had me speaking to, she was over the state of Alabama for the beauty salons. And so she said, well, that's my grandmother. And I said, well, her son Brett was our insurance man for years and years. She said, that's my dad. So it's a small world after all. And it was so good to see a barely over teenager girl that's on her trip. She worked for a hospital here in Huntsville, but working up in Alaska, and Crestwood Hospital. And to see them still serving the Lord, even though they're away from home, they're I just love that she got to do that. Now, we got to see her and how wonderful it was. So I think she was also one that wanted to go to Alaska someday. I have quite a few things on my bucket list, and if you're interested in how we did our bucket list, please let us know. You see the email, I think, drbonnie@me.com, or the telephone numbers, 877-823-6886. Now, Tony's over there running camera and he's eating crackers, so if he's eating crackers louder than I'm talking, that's what you hear in the little mouse that's eating crackers, so he can feel good about it. We had an opportunity to take the train north toward Fairbanks, and if I'd known it then, my brother's nephew lived there. Now, we did get to interview a couple that were there at the resort lodge from Nome, Alaska, and that was real interesting. He worked as what, Tony? Jailer. Okay. Anyway, in Nome, Alaska, and she worked for Alaska Airlines. And I said, well, is it difficult? He said, we don't have any trouble with people staying here in the prison, because where are they going to go to? And they had so much snow this past year. Well, only about October or November of this year they had snow, and to the point where they almost had to take them out of the prison just to keep them safe. But I want you to think about your goals, what you're leaving as a legacy. I have 3 primary goals. I want to finish a book about the prisoners of war that worked on my dad's farm, that some of you know I'm working on, and another one that's what do you see when you pray, and the results of that prayer. And the third one that I want to do is what's in the margin. Now, my grandfather, Albert David Gardner, was a minister. My dad, William Taylor Moses Jr., was he was a minister. He also had a cotton farm, and that was where he was one of those, the Apostle Paul type, that didn't think he's supposed to take money for preaching, but that's okay. He did write margins of his Bible and write little pages, and so did my grandfather. So did our Emily that went to Christ for the Nations, and she and her group took and shipped many Bibles to the former Soviet Union. She was a Russian interpreter, and she wrote in the many things that we're going to have in the book also about what is written in the margins. Maybe you can help me come up with a better title than that. Tony has done that. All of our he's got pages and pages. You know how your Bible sometimes has extra pages, just white pages you can write on. He filled those full. So I'm planning to take all of those, see if there's a golden thread that runs through them. That's a message for us today. And one of the things that Tony and I have taught in places is, of course, the goal setting. Setting your long range, short range, tangible, intangible goals. The tangible goals weighing a certain amount that may be more or less than what you weigh now. And it's always been for me less than what I weigh now. I haven't reached that goal in the 10, 15, 20 years I've been working at it, but every day or two I lose another pound or two. So someday maybe I can be at that weight. And I know Tony's been losing weight too. Of course, he had a heart attack, and being a German in the Marine Corps and a chief engineer or director of engineering, whatever his title is. He keeps getting additional titles because they keep giving him more things to do. But he had the heart attack, and would you believe it wasn't any time till they put a splint. This was his second one. The other one, he had to have a full triple bypass a dozen years ago. And this one, they just put a stent in it. I always try to say splint or stent. I think it's stent. Stent. He's giving me what I'm supposed to be saying. Anyway, the stent in it. And would you believe within a week or so, he was back at work and finally got a release just Friday a week or so ago that he can now, well, we're back after the break. I had to have a glass of water, so we got that. Well, some things that were on my bucket list, and I'll tell you my goals. I call them SMART goals, and I want you to write this down. You can memorize it if you want to. SMART goals, the S stands for specific. We need to write down the legacy we'd like to leave to our relatives, children, grandchildren, all of the loved ones, even people you don't like too much. You can write down the specific goals you have of the legacy you want to leave. The M stands for measurable. It's easy to say, I want to weigh a certain amount. If you lose a pound, you're getting closer to that weight, then that's measurable. A is attainable. I can't say I'm going to lose 20 pounds in the next week. That's not realistic, although I have heard people did that from being in the hospital, but I don't want to go there just to lose a lot of weight. The R is realistic. Want it to be realistic. S-M-A-R-T. The T is set a time that you want a realistic time. If you want to weigh a certain amount by the end of 2012, give yourself plenty of time to make it realistic. Don't want to say I'm going to lose a pound a day for the next 365 days. I think that would not be a good plan. Well, some of my goals that I set, because it says, and I always thought, because I grew up on a cotton farm in Arkansas without running water, my children said, yeah, we heard it all. You walk 3 miles through the snow barefoot to school. Then they got it up to 10 miles. But it was, my dad did actually wear hip boots to carry us through the mud holes to get to the bus, but sometimes. But one of the things that Tony and I wanted to do was take our high school granddaughter that graduated at, Sparkman High School, and to Washington, D.C. to help her with her history, and then along with her aunt and her 24-year-old brother and grandfather, we spent a day in the Holocaust Museum and all over Washington, D.C. In fact, Tony gets lots of patents, and the patent attorney had met us and took us around Washington, D.C. It was Memorial Day, and we ended up getting in the Memorial Day parade. We didn't mean to, but we're just driving, and the parade started with hundreds, it seemed like hundreds, of motorcycles in the parade, and it was an incredibly wonderful experience. And would you believe, my granddaughter came home, not only passed the history, but making A's in it. She did so good. One of the things I wanted to do that's on my bucket list, teach in a foreign country. So, thanks to Dr. Nixon, Charlie Nixon, I got to teach in the Philippines, Butuan City at Urios University in Normasis, and helped the college become a university. I wanted to become president of the National Speakers Association, because when I was a little girl, 14, I was running for a state song leader in Arkansas. I was so short they had to put me up on top of the table, and then I supposedly was going to play this song on the piano and sing at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Well, I looked out, it looked like 5,000 eyes to me. I didn't know my name, who these people were, why I was there. I ran off the stage crying, I can't do it! So all week long, all these people said, there's the girl that made a fool out of herself. I made a decision that week. I am going to learn to speak in front of a group. So I've been working on that for many years. I really had fear of speaking in front of groups. And I understand that's one of the very greatest fears we as human beings have, is speaking in front of a group. And I wanted to become the first female CEO of a street sweeper manufacturing company. I did, thanks to my husband, and CEO of Aplex Incorporated, Monell, Arkansas. That started when we were making these street sweepers. Started out in our garage, then down in where my brother lived in Wesleyco, Texas. Made a half dozen there, and I was sitting in the great room. Tony was at a kitchen bar there. I heard him talking on the phone, and he said, "Yep, my wife will have it there by the time you need to sweep at 10 o'clock tonight." I said, "I'm going to have it where? I'm going to do what?" He had me drive the street sweeper to Wichita, Kansas, and there I was. A miracle happened. I have had so many miracles. I hope I have time to tell you about a couple. But one of them was, I take a snack with me to travel in the car so I can get there from Little Rock, Arkansas to Wichita, Kansas by 10 o'clock that night. So I have an apple. I bite into the apple and it broke off a front tooth. Let me tell you the miracle. Number one, where they put me in the hotel for the week, was within walking distance of we had a big a place where I could go to the, what, Tony?
Shopping mall.
The shopping mall. Okay, he's helping me out here. Thank you. And I got there. Would you believe they had a walk-in dentist? And he was able to make an impression and get me a tooth back within that week that I was there. I call that a miracle. Who ever heard of a walk-in dentist in a shopping mall? But that happened, and I felt like that was a miracle too. I wanted to lecture at Oxford University, and I had an opportunity to do that. And I wanted to, and I talked about the relationships of parent and children in American families, how the television, video games affect the relationship. And I wanted to interview a lot of people. I've now interviewed 5,000 people on television over the years that started in the late 60s until now. Now it's cable that can be picked up on my website, drbonniel.com. That is, if I get someone to help me get it back on the website like it's supposed to be. My brother was helping and he passed. I wanted to speak in Congress. I did, for the Small Business Oversight Committee, when the Commerce Department wanted to make the Small Business Administration as part of the Department of Commerce. And I got to go to the Oversight Committee and speak. And they didn't make SBA a part of the Department of Commerce. So I guess you can have a goal and it would help. Now, another thing, when I was, in high school, I knew how to swim somewhat. But I have gotten away from that and somehow just afraid to get my nose in the water like I should. And I'm still getting over my fear of water. And I want to learn to swim. And I'm way, 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 way past the half-century mark on, and this is the best half-century of my life, since I didn't get to see my name in the obituaries. I want to live to be 120. I'm eating right, exercising, encouraging others every day. I'm past, yeah, you're right, I'm past age 70 and got to go a ways. My mother lived to be 96, so I have good genes to go with. And I want to be joyful, even though my family and I have been through a lot of D's in life. If you want more about the D's in life, we've got information about that and a book that talks about overcoming the D's in life. The D's of drugs, divorce, death of my daughter, one daughter, drinking, depression, despair, diarrhea, We've all had a lot of D's in life, and we got to overcome those, and we can do that. If we remember what the Apostle Paul said, and what our beautiful words are from our Heavenly Father, our Savior, Jesus Christ, that saves us from our sins, and all we have to do to be saved from our sins is say, God, I believe in you, Jesus Christ, I want you as my Savior. I want to ask you to forgive me for my sins. I want you to take over my life, direct my path like He promised to do when He said, trust me, and He will direct our path. You know, it says, have the faith, Mark 11, 22, 23, 24, have the faith of God. That means appropriate His faith into our life. That even this mountain, and I think of that as the mountain of the D's in life, debt, divorce, debt, all of the D's, death, drinking, drugs, everything that could be in our family, or ourselves or our family, that we can overcome that. Yes, diarrhea too. Whatever it is, even this mountain shall be dissipated and cast into the sea. What we got to remember is what we say is what we get. That's the way we dissipate, because the Lord says we're condemned by the words of our mouth. So we need to be encouraging, positive. The Lord, it's a good day every day you get up if you are alive and can read your Bible and memorize some of the things in the Bible. I love memorizing things like, it's in Psalms 84:11. The Lord is your sun and shield. He will give grace and glory. No good thing shall be withheld from you who walk uprightly. Because if the Lord is our sun, He lights our way. Shield protects us from the evil one. And He will give grace, that unmerited favor, have favor with people. We got a letter from the income tax people, and they said, you have overpaid, we're sending you, didn't sound like a lot, but it was something, $400 and something back again. I don't think we got it, because they said when we get it, we'll send it to you. But it doesn't matter. I felt like we had favor with them. And one time we were audited, and lo and behold, we had a truck we had not deducted that was for our company, and they had to pay us back $4,000 for that. So God can give you grace and mercy and all the good things of the world. It says, whatever things you desire, when you pray, believe that you have them, and you shall have them. So I'm going to encourage you to get in touch with us. If you'd allow us to put your name in the book, we would do that. When we talk about what do you see, hear, feel, think when you pray, do you see the Heavenly Father? Do you see Jesus at His right hand? Or do you just see the completed thing that's going on? Real quick, mysterious ways that's accomplished. I was praying for Tony's safety. He'd been gone with one of the companies, and they flew on this small plane to, somewhere around
Knoxville.
Tennessee. Where was it?
Knoxville.
Knoxville, Tennessee, okay. And they're flying back. There's just enough gas in the plane to get back to Jonesboro, Arkansas, where we were at the time. And a storm, lightning, unbelievable. It was going to have to put the plane down. But there was no place during the middle of the night to put the plane.
Clouds.
The clouds opened up, and the pilot dived down through the clouds, and lo and behold, lights on a runway in a place close to Cookville, Tennessee. And when they got down, they got off the plane, they ran to where the terminal was, and they banged on the door, and the guy woke up and said, I'm sorry, I left the lights on, I'm so sorry. What happened, God had him to go into a deep sleep, and Tony and his people were saved because God put a sleep on that man, and the lights were there, and He opened up the clouds where they could come through. God can protect you like that. So every time one of you gets ill or something you'd like to have happen, then you start praying for God to handle that. I'm Bonnie Libhart along with Tony Libhart on this wonderful pre-2012 night, and bless your heart.